That wasteland in Rage 2 reminds me of a time back on my home planet when I went hitchhiking as I never drove anything before.
You about to tell a story?
Yeah. Why? You don't want to hear it?
Oh, I do. It's just they usually end up being kind of long, so I need to get a snack first. I'll be back 2 seconds. Just give me literally 2 seconds.
On back of the backlog, been gone for way too long. On back of the backlog, got so many games to play, dog. On back of the backlog, Donkey Kong expands my dog. On back of the backlog, me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On back of the backlog. Did you know that Kylo wears thongs? On back of the backlog. I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
What is up, guys? It is Robert at Gaming with Me, and welcome to Back of the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game Rage 2. Rage is a series that I remember seeing my stepdad play back on the Xbox 360. The original Rage ran at 60 frames per second on the Xbox 360, and even as a kid, I remember thinking it looked so smooth and was super impressed. I never played the first Rage. It's a game that will be an episode one day. Rage 2 gets announced and was fully shown off at E3 2018 at Bethesda's press conference, which I was literally at. The hype in the room was huge for the gameplay, and I thought it looked pretty damn cool. Mix the Just Cause team's open world with Doom's gunplay sounded pretty compelling. So I eventually picked this game up on PC, which I just like having the physical box, even though inside is just a code. Funny enough, when booting up the Bethesda launcher to play this, it turns out Bethesda shut down their launcher 3 years ago. Luckily, all my purchases were able to be shifted over to Steam, but it just goes to show how fast these companies open and close products. Rage 2 was released on May 14th, 2019. It was developed by Avalanche Studios and id Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. Was this game that I saw at E3 worth playing? Well, here we are 6 years after its original release. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. You play as Walker, the last ranger of Vineland, a complete wasteland filled with mutants and insane bandits. The enemies are this group called the Authority, who ambush Walker's home to continue to take control over the land. The leader, General Cross, kills his adoptive aunt, and Walker finds a recording of his aunt asking him to complete Project Dagger, a mission to kill General Cross. So we must go around this wasteland, find other members of Project Dagger, and stop the Authority from taking over. It's a simple and tight story to get you into this world quickly and have you on your way, which I can appreciate. There is a lot more lore with a ton of written entries and data pads to read up on if you are interested in learning a lot more about individual parts of this world. It's funny when you choose either the female or male Walker, the other Walker brutally dies almost instantly, which was pretty funny. That's when you are introduced to Lily, which is his closest thing to a sibling as they grew up together. Right off the bat, visually this game is really good. It's pretty much as good as any other game that's been released, as they still do release PlayStation 4 and Xbox One games now. It's only been 6 years, so it's not a day and night difference between 2019 games and 2025 games striving for a more realistic look. The world itself isn't good looking, I say though, as it's very much a barren wasteland, which, I mean, they are going for that, but when driving around to missions, nothing visually really stands out to me. There was one time though when the sun was setting and I thought it did look really damn good that I had to get out of my vehicle and just look out in the distance. But I'll talk about the worst part of the game right away, which is this world. I just felt it was very mediocre. It's just not a world I care to explore, as again, nothing really stands out to me. It doesn't even really feel very open considering you can't climb anything, and essentially most of the content on the map is designed within the roads you travel on. So I really feel there's no need to wander at all, as it doesn't even feel like it's designed to be. I don't feel like I'm missing much when all the side content is along the side of the roads I'm already driving. So I don't feel like this open world was designed for curious explorers, more so side content window shoppers. I would just drive by the side content kind of like, nah, I'm good. Oh, I like those, I'll do that. No, I don't like those ones. Oh, that looks pretty good, I'll do that. And there is some genuinely fun and surprisingly important side content. It's actually really surprising to see how damn near every ability and new gun to add to your arsenal is optional. You could essentially finish the game with barely anything new to play around with, which is cool, that's a thing, but man, the game is a lot better when playing with different abilities and having at least a few more guns. It's one of the few games where the side content greatly enhanced my enjoyment with the game. I like going to a bunch of arcs, which are areas that grant you the new abilities, and guns, which most of them are completely optional. I liked doing a decent amount of bandit camps, going through shootouts, and collecting a lot of nanotrites to upgrade my abilities, which surprisingly has a lot of depth. Not only can you upgrade your abilities, but there are essentially upgrades to the upgrade, giving you an incentive to do the side content to fully deck out your favorite stuff.
I made sure to essentially not upgrade and not get anything extra for a challenge.
I'm sure it's somewhat more challenging, but that just sounds more boring.
I mean, I agree. I wouldn't recommend also doing that.
I started to get pretty hooked when I got a couple upgrades and got into the gameplay loop. That's because the best part of this game is the gunplay. This is one of the most satisfying first-person shooter games I've ever played. The gunplay absolutely shines, feeling incredible and powerful like the newer Doom games. I did these bandit camps because I loved the gameplay loop, just running and gunning with its over-the-top gory kills. You've got a nice variety of weapons that all feel genuinely great. I admittedly did mostly stick with the assault rifle and shotgun, although the shotgun is quite different, in which when you aim down sights, it'll blast enemies away, knocking them back, while hip firing will be like a typical powerful shotgun. There are some other cool ones like a powerful lock-on rocket launcher and a pistol that has explosive ammo that you can detonate, blowing up people's faces. Your movement is just as satisfying as you run around all fast towards enemies. You can get the ability to double jump and to dash around, creating some great momentum movement. There's an ability called Shatter that tosses enemies around, flying to their deaths. It's over the top goodness. It's funny because I would jump above enemies and was wishing I could slam on the ground, similar to like Borderlands the pre-sequel that we just did an episode on, and then not long after, I found an arc that allows you to do that in the literal best way possible. The camera literally shifts to target on the ground as the enemies around explode from damage. You can upgrade your slam to have enemies get pulled toward your slam when you use it. It is just so damn cool. Then you can become even more powerful with Overdrive, an ability that makes your guns deal more damage. Overdrive is something that will refill after a certain amount of damage and kills you pull off, while the other abilities like Slam are refilled on a timer. Chaining together a shotgun, tossing around some others, and slamming a group of enemies felt absolutely amazing. This gameplay loop is just first-person shooter goodness and makes the downtime driving around feel a lot less enjoyable. I could see this being a better game if it was a more linear experience. They have this recipe for an amazing first-person shooter, but it's bogged down by it wanting to be an open world. When you have such a satisfying gameplay loop right there, it feels so strange to have this much downtime driving around this unmemorable map. The main missions do have you go to a solid variety of locations, but I'd rather just be there, not have to drive there and feel nothing throughout these moments.
I disagree. I loved driving around.
What did you like about it?
It was peaceful.
Peaceful, but you have random enemies shooting on the sides of the roads.
I paid no attention. I just kept driving.
I don't think the turning controls feel all that great to make the drive feel even remotely peaceful.
Just let him enjoy his driving.
But the missions themselves are a lot of fun. I really like this one mission where you went underground and run into a bunch of these fucked up looking dudes who carry tanks that will explode when killed. It's a bit of a horror-themed atmosphere which changed up the tone pretty well. There's another mission where you gotta compete in this race which was entertaining. Then you also have to go to this TV show called Mutant TV where you kill a bunch of mutants for a high score in this very comical over-the-top setting. The enemies you verse do lack in variety. For the most part, you'll be taking out human bandits and then a couple of enemy types for the Authority. There's some occasional other couple of types of enemies you'll face, but it's pretty rare. I don't see it as a negative in this game, but it certainly could have been made a bit better with a few more enemy types. That's the same with the bosses, as they reuse the same boss multiple times, being this cyber crusher with no change in attacks it seems, and while I thought it was a cool boss, just reusing the same one multiple times just isn't good. As for some bugs, I had the game crash once, and I had this one audio glitch that would not stop playing the car honking sound effect full blast even when I was out of the car and walked far away, having to quit and reboot the game. I also had several texture glitches far in the distance, and also the terrain not popping up right in front of me. It wasn't often and didn't affect progress at all, but it is something to note. Getting to the final mission requires you to get everything done for Project Dagger, which you do by completing missions from its members. I didn't realize until very late, but in order to unlock some of the missions from the members, you have to do some side content that contributes to a specific person's project. For example, taking out a Bandicamp levels up John Marshall's project, and doing enough things that level up his project will unlock the next mission of his. I didn't realize this was a thing until late, since I was doing side content anyway because I was enjoying it. However, I don't like when side content is required to progress because it could feel like a grind. I enjoy taking out Bandicamps, but I could see some other people may think it's repetitive. It just pads out the length, which I feel they did this because they weren't confident in the length of the game at an average time of 10.5 hours, which some of that has to be side content, making it probably more like 8. Which to me, that's fine. Just have it be 8 hours. Don't fluff it up with stuff that potentially could be a grind for people. I had to go and do a few side stuff to unlock the last couple missions, even though I felt ready to continue. I was interested in seeing the next mission, but was halted to do stuff I already got my fill of, and a couple of things I wasn't interested in, but now had to do, which isn't good, and I put like 15 hours into the game.
It took me like 80 hours to finish the game.
80? God damn! You must have 100%ed the game in that case.
No, just the main stuff and some side stuff.
How the hell did you get to 80 hours then?
I kept driving around. I loved driving.
Where were you driving to that it took so long?
Anywhere. One end of the map to the other end, and back and forth and back and forth. It was great.
Really? That sounds insane, but I'm glad you had fun.
I definitely did.
Regardless, after completing their missions, Project Dagger is ready and you begin the final mission, which I'm now going to talk about just to let you know. We infiltrate the authorities' base by using one of their tanks and start off with an entertaining first section where we mow down everyone in the tank. Eventually we get out and continue in the base, taking out any authority we run into with the typical fun shootouts. The only negative about this final mission is its location. While being in the tank made for a different approach, all these authority areas look the same, as it's not the first one we've been in, making it not feel as special for a final mission. Finally, we face General Cross, but he laughs in our face, and don't actually, but instead we fall and land into a battle with this colossal titan. This boss plays very similar to another one where you gotta shoot these blinking tubes on him to cause damage. It's admittedly nothing special, as you dodge its attacks pretty easily. He'll slam some energy beams in the ground and shoot rockets at you, and once you deal enough damage, he'll back up and release a wave of the authority at you. Honestly, this was the more entertaining part of the battle because it's more of the typical great shootout, which isn't good considering this is supposed to be the big epic final boss. I would argue the previous Cyber Crusher boss they reused a few times is better than this. It's just a very lackluster final boss that feels like it should have been the first boss to teach a newer player. Regardless, once you shoot enough of the bastard, he's killed, slams his blown up head on the ground with General Cross crawling out. Walker injects General Cross with the nanostripe virus in a pretty badass way by jamming it through his eye. General Cross sprays some of that virus back on Walker, as Walker didn't know he was susceptible to it due to being a ranger. General Cross laughs, telling Walker he's gonna die with him. Walker snaps Cross's neck as he starts to pass out when Lily ends up saving Walker at the last second, saying, "I got you, brother." And then the credits abruptly roll. Yeah, that's quite the final cutscene. Does Walker live? Can I see some of the events that happen after this? That would be nice. During the credits, they have these comic book panels that are pretty cool, but it's just a retelling of what we did. You would think that maybe they would show more of the events after this mission. Then a post-credit scene does happen where Walker is alive, and you got the people from Project Dagger and Lily checking up on you. Then after some time passes, Walker's better and gets up, allowing you to continue the game, which I thought was quite cool. So at least there is something, but it's a little weird that it's a post-credit scene. I still think we could have seen a little more of an effect of what happened now that General Cross is dead, but it is what it is. This was a solid ending with the mission itself, but it does have a disappointing final boss and its pretty abrupt ending. That was Rage 2. That was a good game. I have conflicting thoughts because it's a fantastic first-person shooter with some of the most entertaining gunplay ever in a video game, bogged down by constant downtime of a mediocre open world. I can look past some repeating bosses and enemies, even if more variety would be better, but I can't look past the huge chunk of time spent driving around in the open world just wanting to get back into the expertly crafted combat design. I wish this game was a linear experience focusing on the extremely entertaining shootouts. The gunplay is so damn good that I would recommend it to any first-person shooter fan, but just know that you'll be stopped to drive around in a world that is certainly a waste of a land. I'm sorry, I had to say that pun. Overall, I'm going to give Rage 2 a, so why is it called Rage, out of 10. I don't know, but I do know that this game was good. I am looking forward to playing the original one day, as apparently it's very different from this one. When will we check it out? I don't know, but I do know that that'll be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played Rage 2? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Rage 2 was an incredibly entertaining yet flawed first-person shooter, but it is officially out of the backlog.
On my home planet, we have this one area with a huge stretch of nothing but sand.
So, like a desert?
Yes, a desert. See, I don't drive, and I didn't have any money for a quick spaceship flight across, so I thought I would hitchhike, which takes about a day and a half.
Jesus, for what though?
Well, that was the closest game store near me, and I wanted to pre-order the GameCube and Xbox along with Halo. I would have waited typically, but it would have been sold out, as the launch was when I was going to go on vacation to Earth.
Holy crap, for one, that is just an insane time commitment just to pre-order. And is this around the time you came here?
Yup. So, anyway, going there was no big deal. It was coming back that was the problem. I pre-ordered the consoles and games and started my trek back. One fellow named Jarasensil picked me up in front of the game store, surprisingly heading to my hometown, but something just felt off. He wanted to know what I did at the game store, but I didn't want to tell him about the pre-orders, and the only thing I had was the receipt.
What? Why not?
Well, everyone wanted a pre-order. I was one of the last ones to pre-order and was worried he'd steal my pre-order receipt.
That was all you needed to pick up the consoles? The receipt? They don't check for an ID or whatever you use?
Nope, just the receipt.
That's stupid.
Yeah, well, Jarasensil just couldn't stop questioning me about it. Then, it happened. 12 hours deep into our trip, He stopped the vehicle and told me that his vehicle was filled with explosives, and if I don't hand over the pre-order, he'll blow us both up with the countdown button.
What? But that means he'll die too.
Yeah, pretty stupid, obviously. He said it's either he gets the system day one, or else what's the point? So I wasn't taking chances. I told him that his suspicions were right, but did not hand him the receipt. Instead, I quickly put him to sleep with one of my abilities, and ran out into the open. To make sure he didn't wake up and try to find me, I pressed the countdown button and got as far as I could. And boom! The bastard exploded.
Holy shit, you killed him?
Yeah, what was I supposed to do? Anyway, I ended up walking the rest of the way, which took several days.
You couldn't find anyone else to hitchhike with?
I didn't want to after that. A few offered a ride, but I would politely decline. However, they felt so depressed after I declined them that they blew their cars up.
Why the fuck would they do that?
I don't know. Some of my home planet can't handle a no very well. Finally, after multiple very brutal days, I made it back home.
You know, I really wanted to check out Granadine somehow one day, but now I don't know if everyone's just blowing themselves up.
You get used to it.
After all that and you never even got your pre-ordered GameCube, Xbox, Halo, nothing.
Nope. But hey, at least I got to play Halo with you guys.
And it's funny you bring that up because we are going to be playing the sequel next episode.